Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Events 101 Fireside Chats. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Events 101 Fireside Chats. My name is Benedicta Asante, and I'm one of the founders of Events 101. Just a bit of background about Events 101 and what Fireside Chats are. So Fireside Chats are just simply off-topic conversations discussing various things which are relative to the events industry. They're often used in trade shows as breakout sessions to discuss other topics, some things such as mental health, or even working in the events industry or in any industry for that matter. So Events 101 started last year in 2020. I was in my final year of university, studying towards my final exams, and COVID hit. And once I was staying at home, I realized that I hadn't really learned much practically in the events industry. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. Although I had had a job and I had worked a few roles, I didn't really know what was out there for me. And on that journey, I realized that there were a lot of people just like me. I would speak to my course mates, I would speak to even students from other universities, and they would say the same things. Placements were there, but getting a placement in events management was so difficult. And for me, I just wanted to create a platform that encompassed what the events industry was, brought together professionals and students at all levels, whether first year or whether 10 years in industry, bringing them together and allowing them to network and also share stories and build a community. So that's what Events 101 is. So today, Fireside Chat's going to be about the brand that is you. So I wanted to speak a bit more about how we put ourselves out there and the journeys which we go on, and sometimes the things in our lives which we negate, which add to who we are as a person and who we can put forward when going for roles or creating our own businesses. So I'll tell you a bit about myself. I'm 25 years old, and I started my interest in events, I would say, when I was at secondary school. And my friend had simply asked me to help her with her 16th birthday party, and I was like, this is fantastic. My mum had been in hospitality for many years, so I had been in hospitality, serving, doing things in the kitchen, and I did not enjoy it one bit. But what I did enjoy when I went to functions with my mum was seeing the flamboyance of an event. And if you're like myself, from a cultural background, all our events are quite big. A lot of people, colours, and I was like, I want to do this. So when my friend asked me to help her with her birthday, I jumped at the chance. And from there, I kind of went a bit of a journey because, especially being black in the events industry, my parents did not want to hear it. They were like, you're going to go and do nursing, okay, you're going to be a banker, you're going to do this and that. So I kind of went on the journey of finding myself, but also finding ways to, express myself and say this is actually what I want to do, and finding ways to be more firm. So I actually went to university, firstly at King's College, to study nursing, and I hated it. I hated the long hours, and shout out to all the nurses out there doing a great job, but it just wasn't for me. And then after that, I was actually kicked out of university for some reason, and and I went on to study finance and psychology because I loved people, and for me, studying that just meant that I was able to kind of get into the minds of people and how they actually work and how they spend their money and what they do when they're kind of in the markets and things like that, which was really interesting for me because I'm quite good at maths. So, working in finance was like the perfect fit for me because in my mind, there was no such thing as an events industry. You couldn't be an events manager as a job. If you wanted to do events, you had to start your own business. And really and truly, I wasn't really a business-minded person. So that happened, and another story. On the day of my final exams, I fell ill, and that was it for me because my course was cancelled. So I took a few months out, and I really sat down and I was like, what do I actually want to do? And a friend of mine was like, you do events, why don't you just go and study events management? And I was thinking, there's no such thing as an events management course. So I started Googling and typing up, and then I found that there's a whole degree course. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, I'm gonna go and do this. So I started my degree course, and it was interesting for me to see that there was other people there. However, not everyone had the same kind of drive as I did, or not everyone knew what they were getting themselves into, as I said. So towards the end of my course, I began to find the purpose in my brand, in my personal brand. So I started a blog during COVID as well called the Millennial Event Manager, and on that blog I would write just my experiences, what I had felt as a student, or even someone working in the events industry, because I had some previous roles. And the more I wrote and the more I spoke out on Instagram, I started to see that the Millennial Events Manager started to fade, and people were looking for me. They wanted to hear what Benedicta had to say. They wanted to hear what my insight was, and that really shocked me, because as an event professional, you see that we're always behind the scenes, and a lot of our work is hands-on rather than, vocal. We do a lot of presentations, and we get into a lot of back and forths, but however, our actual voices aren't heard. So when I started speaking, I had people reaching out to me from the United States, I had people reaching out to me from the UK and places across Europe, and I was thinking, this is insane, because why do you want to hear what I have to say? And I put it out there because before COVID, the events professionals weren't seen. We weren't really acknowledged. The events industry was kind of like just there. And then as COVID progressed, we started to see that even the government started taking an interest into what our industry does, considering that it's an £84 billion industry. So I wanted to put it out there that we are the unsung heroes of the corporate world. When we have things like business events, and we have things such as exhibitions and things, we bring revenue to this country. So it was important for me to kind of ensure that other young people who wanted to do events didn't feel as though the job was less important, or their voice wasn't heard. It was important for me to be a role model to the young people in the events industry. And a little bit of background, I am from an African family. I lived in Brixton in South London, and all those around me, a lot of my friends, they just wanted to be lawyers, doctors, bankers, and technical jobs. There wasn't anything that like I wanted to do, something creative, something that didn't require me to I would say think as much. And funny enough, I was a bit wrong, because events requires you to think all the time. So with all that, I kind of put pressure on myself and started to feel as though I wasn't worthy enough, because I didn't really want to do bank, and I didn't really want to go into that law field or things like that. I just felt as though who am I? And as I progressed doing the Millennial Events Manager, I started to uncover who I was as a person. And I love it when I see a lot of young event professionals in university or in graduate roles that are like showcasing their work online. But I think it's more than just showcasing our work online. It's about, okay, who are you? I can see the event that you put forward, but what did you actually bring to that event? What was your role in that event? And I think that is what for me personally, when I look online, is lacking. I see a lot of events, I see things popping up, virtual event here, live event, hybrid, and I see a lack of personality, I see a lack of humanism to the events. Is a bit of a scramble when companies put on events, and it's like they're just trying to keep their audiences engaged, but moreover, you're actually disengaging the audiences more. So I was speaking to someone, and I was like, I'm doing this Events 101 thing, and I really want it to be out there more. I really want people to acknowledge Events 101. And one thing they said to me was, you don't bring them to your business, you bring them to you. You don't bring them to your platform, you bring them to you. Who are you? What have you done? And then your platform starts to build. Because I see many young people, obviously sometimes finding a job in events, especially during COVID, has been difficult, which is completely understandable, leading people to more of an entrepreneurial path. But if you're not naturally gifted in that area, you're bringing nothing to the table. And it's a thing of how are you rearing other people, how are you engaging in your community. And it's beautiful to see how events have come together, how the community are now supporting each other. But without COVID, we would have never seen this. And for me, I think it's one of those things of we need more humanism. So again, I ask anyone who's watching now, maybe take a few minutes out and just write, who am I? What do I like doing? What do I do outside of events? And you can be passionate about something, but what are you outside of that thing? Who is Benedicta, for example? And I'll say a few things about myself. I like helping people. I like to sing. I like to read sometimes. I'm a researcher. So those little skills is what makes me a better events professional, because I actually have to deal with people on my day-to-day lives. When I meet people and they're telling me stories about they had a car accident and they don't know how they're going to make it through the next day and things like that, am I able to console that person, or am I just solely focused on my job? And I think as event professionals, we often see ourselves in a book, we're looking to our spreadsheet, living on our spreadsheet, living in our notebooks, but we actually forget to look up. And in that, you will find out who you are. And the more we help each other, we find out who we are. So a lot of the time I get the question of, what do you do? And who are you? And I've pondered on it for a while, thinking, okay, who am I? Okay, yes, Benedicta, she's an events professional. She likes planning events. She has the platform called Events 101. But then I realized that in Events 101, I started to come into the business of people. I came into the business of creating opportunities for young people in the events industry, in the hospitality industry. And I'm able to actually speak on the behalf of many because I decided to make myself visible in that space. A lot of young people have come to me over maybe the past year asking, okay, how do I position myself to get the best roles or get myself in front of the best employers? And all I can say to them is, become visible. Who are you? What do you do outside of events? I have a young lady with me outside of events. She cooks, and it's beautiful. If you look at her page, it has more followers than her events page. But that's because people are more interested in what she's actually doing rather than her events. Because ultimately, events are just a form of communication of of a message that you're trying to portray. So in doing that, you need to bring humanism, bring you to your event. And I notice, even I do it sometimes, I can feel like, okay, my voice isn't being heard, so I'm gonna just leave it. But actually forging forward and saying, actually, this is an idea that we can pursue, which is gonna make X, Y, Z better, and this is the reason why. And I think finding that level of communication, because ultimately we're not the best communicators, because we live online, we live on Microsoft Word. So sending an email is an easy way of communication, but actually speaking is something completely different. And so that's something that I've come to learn. And when I'm going to leave this, how I'm going to leave this video is, who are you? Write down 3 to 5 points. Who are you? What do you bring to events other than your skills of being able to, send an email, or even just being able to, source a speaker, or being able to, put together a budget spreadsheet. What do you bring that is better than the next person? So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.